Continuing on with the lesson plan. Um, so daily, we just talked about Oklahoma State academic standard. That is self-explanatory. Well, it's on the website, and you have to pick. So it's broken down by the standards one through five, and then also you have the grade level breakdown. So that's that. Next, you have the daily objectives. So, what do you want to accomplish in that class period? Okay. Assessment of objectives. How do you assess them? Is it talk back where you say something and then they respond? Um, Not looking at everything being a pencil paper exam. It's just how do you assess it? Do you have run them through it? Call on them on the spot and have them demonstrate what you just taught. That's what they mean by assessment of objectives. Equipment needed, section C, required preparation. Equipment needed. Do you need, what type of balls do you need? What type of jump rope or what type of equipment period do you need? That's really kind of self-explanatory as well. Technology needed. Do you need a any kind of music that would fall under some type of technology, or any other? Is it film being shown? Is it what's being used? Other resources, self-explanatory. Safety issues to be addressed. I want to talk about this because it can be easily be overlooked. So when it comes to safety issues, that should be your first priority. So you want to look at your facility, your gym, your classroom, your space if you take the kids outside, and you're going to look for things that could cause them to harm themselves accidentally, and that could be trips and falls, and do they need, what kind of shoes do they have on? Kids will come in with skirts and dresses on and inappropriate shoes, and especially in elementary, and they can't change. They don't bring extra shoes like your middle school, your high school might. So, or have in a locker. They don't have lockers. So you have to be mindful of what the kids are wearing when you teach certain lessons, because if they fall and hurt themselves, then you're liable for that. You're already, the younger age is not that coordinated, and when they don't have on the proper shoes, that just sets up a perfect storm. Always look at, are their shoes tied? And that's what you'll do a lot of, is you'll tie a lot of shoes. Um, are there any sharp objects or tables sticking out, or how is your gym set up? Does it have is the goal, is there enough space behind the goal where they can slow down out of bounds behind it, where the pads are and the mats? Do you have pads and mats? Do you have kids running towards bleachers? Do you have kids running towards walls that are supposed to be able to stop, but they have on slippery shoes? So you have to look at your area and make sure that everything is safe. Okay, your equipment is not coming apart or raggedy. You have to get rid of that stuff because you could be held liable for those injuries. So safety is a big issue. Then you want to teach the kids things like, what could they do? Could they put certain things over their heads while you're not paying attention? Could they put certain things around their necks? Those things that affect airway and breathing need to be looked at, because kids are going to be kids, and you can't you have to try to prevent that as much as possible. Accommodations necessary is next. Available choices for varying abilities, exceptionalities, English language learners, and gifted and talented. So let's go gifted and talented. Some are going to be coordinated. They play sports, they do certain things. That's great. Then you might have kids that have cerebral palsy with inclusion and things, or they may just be hurt for the time being. They may have injured themselves and hurt their arm or leg. Okay. That would be where you have to make those modifications. So kids that have a temporary injury, kids that are advanced with, you have to keep them engaged, okay? Or they might become disciplinary problems if they're bored, all right? English language learners, you're going to may have to have pictures and demonstration to show them what they don't, because they don't understand English that well, especially the smaller kids. So, section D, learning activities, overview, and motivational techniques. So, are you using any kind of reward system that you introduce at the beginning? Kids that do A get B at the end. You don't want to necessarily put kids down. This is PE. It's not a competition, so you can reward groups of kids if you split them up and certain teams won or did better, whatever the case may be. What is the motivational technique? Is it just simply something that you all, positive reinforcement that you all say at the beginning of every PE class, your mantra, so to speak? So you need to look at those things because it's yours. You can teach almost every subject in PE. You can teach science, you can teach math, you can help with English and reading skills, phonics. You can do all that through your PE class if you would like to be that creative. It's all there for you, okay? The introduction is just, what are we going to learn today? You go back to your daily objective and you repeat it for the kids at their level. You may show a small video, depending on age. You have to get their attention. Fitness activity / warm up. You have to warm up. And if you have the same warm up every day or something similar, 2 or 3 that you rotate through, that's fine, because having routine helps you out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every class period, every age group, okay? But come up with a good warm up when you warm up all the different muscle groups. So the upper body, the legs, have them moving forward and backwards, have them going left and right. So laterality, all those things in your warm up gets them ready. And like I said, the younger ones aren't usually that coordinated to begin with. But you're also helping them learn directions: left, right, up, down, forwards, backwards. Those words matter, okay? And the earlier you can get them introduced to those terms, then the easier your job will be. So all those little things matter, okay? Then you can get even further into north, south. You can mark your gym, mark your classroom, north, south, east, west, with those signs up on the wall. And like I said, PE, you can teach almost every subject, a little bit of every subject in physical education. Lesson procedures and content. So the content, if you're teaching how to locomotor skills of any of them, and these are the locomotor skills, I'm going to list them off to you. Locomotor skills, according to, it also lines up with your standards, Oklahoma standards, academic standards: hopping, galloping, jogging, running, sliding, skipping, jumping, leaping, and dance. Manipulatives are things like throwing, passing, catching, dribbling. Now, that throwing is going to start with the upper body, the hands, and it's going to be overhand and underhand. Passing can then be upper body or feet, like soccer and those sports involving the feet. So passing, catching is the hands. Dribbling, if it was the feet, it'd be trapping with your feet, playing soccer. Dribbling, start with the hands, and then we're going to go to the feet, go to the feet, with dribbling. Okay, so you keep that in mind. Those academic standards, break that down for you according to grade level. So that is what your content is. What are we teaching? Locomotor skills, manipulatives? Are we teaching for older kids? Are we teaching a game itself, like the game of tennis, the game of you know what, and then we can, you pull everything together. Okay, so an elementary kid is not going to understand the concept of tennis. You're not trying to teach them how to play a sport when they are in pre-K, kindergarten, first, second grade. You're trying to teach them the fundamentals of that sport. Okay, the fundamentals of that sport, and that is your lesson plan. Okay, content. The lesson game. Now you don't have to. It would be easier for you not to teach basketball, for example. It's too many components to basketball, but you take some of the components out of basketball and you label it another game. In education, we still there's a lot of ideas out there on the internet. I'll have you all look up teaching videos on hopping, galloping, jogging, running, sliding, skipping, the locomotor movements. And I'll demonstrate as well with videos posted. But that's the easiest way. If you get basketball in their head, your kids that are, familiar with basketball they're gonna tune you out, because they're into, now you've triggered a switch, for example, that cannot be turned off. You're trying to teach them how to run the correct way, how to jump the correct way and land, how to slide, okay, which sliding is part of many sports, not just basketball. So if you key in on a sport with your younger kids, you're going to lose them. You're going to make your life a lot harder, okay? So the lesson game, come up with abstract. There are plenty of games out there. You don't have to have a sport to be the game. Closure, that's when you do like a cool down, so to speak. You bring everybody back in. You have about 10 minutes of class left. You calm the kids back down. You are cleaning up. You have them clean up behind themselves. You are cleaning up everything and putting everything up. And that's when you'll take care of, tying shoes again, restroom, stuff like that. Then you'll review in your closure while they're sitting and decompressing. You'll review what you learned for the day. That's your closure. What is the proper way to hop? Okay. And you hop off 2 feet. How do you land? And then you're picking on kids and they're answering, So that's your closure. And then follow-up activities or assignments. When it gets more detailed and you're trying to teach kids about health, then you can, you can assign an assignment anytime you like, but that's keeping them engaged. Normally you have specials, you rotate. So you'll have a certain grade once or twice a week. And so it's not like you're going to see these kids every day. And so keep that in mind. But follow-up activities and assignments. The back section, Section E, analysis of student learning and reflection. Assessment of student performance. Once again, it doesn't have to be a pencil paper test. It could be a lot of demonstration. It could be a verbal feedback. And impact on, or observation. Impact on student learning. That one is a little difficult to describe. But why do they need to learn what you're teaching them? And how can it be used in other areas academically or other areas, period, of their lives? Reflection, successes, that's opportunities for improvement. That's self-explanatory. If things went smoothly during a lesson, you need to point that out so that you'll repeat it. And then things that you can improve upon. If you lost control because there was too much time for a kindergartner and their attention span. If you lost a gifted, talented student that was advanced because you didn't have a tougher version of the same lesson or a small modification for your student with disabilities or you're gifted talented. You got to go both ways, one notch down, so to speak, and one notch up. So then you need to come up with those. All right. If you tried an idea like partnering or pairing students up, what did you do of the same skill set, or one higher than the other? One where they're kind of like teaching the other, is what I mean, higher. And then recommended revisions. That's what you learn from your reflection. Okay? That's more for yourself. So when I grade it, when you turn in a lesson plan for me, you won't have anything for the section E for right now, because you're not going to be teaching a class in Intro to PE. So you really just need to focus on sections A through D, and that's it for right now on lesson plans. So let's get off that, and I'm going to do another video that focuses on the topics. Okay, we're going to get into the cell. I'm going to get into the body systems, and you have to understand the cell and the body systems in order to teach PE. You have to understand the basics. So once again, with Khan Academy, the reason I had you all watching those is because with everything going on in the world today, that was the shortest way to get you either a refresher, and if you haven't taken for biology, and if you haven't taken biology or you're currently taking biology, that's fine. I just need you to, it was an easy way to focus on the cell. Okay? So in the next video, we're going to talk about the cell and the body systems just a little bit.